What's time is, I'm gonna call the judicial committee together. And the first thing on the agenda is the minutes. Let's.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any public comment? We have anybody who wants to say anything about the agenda? Nothing, okay. The next thing, what I'd like to do next is, go for the recommendation first. We have a new, recommendation, Miss Jenny White. I think you all got the information online. And she was interviewed by,
I don't think I did get the information online.
it should have been to you, and if something. Yeah, but she, it's been recommended by, Ms. Gallant and
Talking to me.
Stacy did the background check on her.
Well, we're supposed to get a packet in our email?
Not background check, I just checked references.
References, okay.
Gotcha.
Yes.
That was in a message,
She sent it
that was in a message
Thursday night.
sent. Anyhow, but, this is a part-time position. And before it discuss further, as we learned before, you know, we did a 3-month, and then we had to extend it because they hadn't done the work enough, or hadn't trained, or any information going to the judges and everything. And also the one that we approved, the Hispanic gentleman, he was offered a full-time position, and he refused it, because, I understand he was not happy just with 3 or 6 months. He said, "It can't get me at least a year." He said, "It's my understanding he may be looking for other work also." So we're pretty short in the office. And I'm not sure 6 months or 3 months is the right way to go. We used to always do a year with a part-time. And it worked pretty well. We didn't really have any problems. And because it takes a while to train, and they have a training manual, I understand, and then they work with the different judicial commissioners that are working already, and then they're finally released on their own, probably anywhere from 4, 5, 6 months after they start. I'm not exactly sure of the timing. So I'm recommending a year for a part-timer to start. And many, many times if they train and they learn they don't like it, they resign anyhow. They just don't stick around. So I don't think we're going to lose anything by going for a year. That's my thoughts. And we can do 2 months, 3 months, but I personally think we ought to do a year. And that way we'll give the person at least some confidence that he's got a job for a year if he works out. You have any comment on that, Kiana?
I agree the years seem to be working. I think it may be difficult to find personnel that will agree for a 90-day assignment.
Right. That's what I'm thinking too. But it's not up to me.
So we're just discussing term,
Yeah, we're discussing terms.
not this person's term, but terms in general.
Well, terms for part-timers in general.
I think there's things we need to look at, right now, and I've said this in this body, I've said it in front of the county commission. We're kind of operating that office over there, and nothing, no offense, what I'm getting ready to say to either one of you, willy-nilly, meaning that there's, other than the handbook for the county employees, there is no other position, that nothing names, nothing lays out anything over in that office that Wilson County government has. This committee has always had oversight, and up until the last few months or years, has always interviewed the candidates through all the terms. And I'll be honest with this particular candidate, I have some reservations, and I don't know the person at all, but I just have reservations with the lack of experience at all. But when we look at terms, I'm only one vote, and I appreciate what you said, John. You're only one vote, but I could not, the current commissioners that are in this room, I could easily say a year term and up to a 2-year term. I could easily say that. I have a problem with new people, and I'll say it, I'm not guaranteed a job. You know, I could get an email from my boss right now, tell me not to come to work tomorrow. No one here has a job other than, are you tenured? Did I ask you that?
I don't know. I signed a contract this year.
So he's not tenured, so he has, at most, he has a year with his contract, at most. But no one else has, well, Mr. Jennings gets elected for a term.
2 years this year, I'm ready to go.
Debbie's elected for a term by the people.
I'm kidding.
But if we have the power to nominate, I have a lot of reservations, especially with the uncertainty of what's happened in that office. And giving somebody that's part-time, if part-time, I have even less. I think we should look at full-time people. I think that they're down to 5,
3.
well, 5 total
Yes, 3 full-time, 2 part-time.
and 2 part-time.
You got right now?
That's all they have, Mike. Yeah.
20 years ago when I started, we had more commissioners.
And if I'm not mistaken, there's a total of 10 positions.
So I was gonna ask, what's your?
Done 3. Plus 4. Well, there's actually more than that.
Martinez
The
and Gibson.
director, the vice.
Right.
Well, and then you have 10 after that.
So
Supposed to be,
So you have.
what are we supposed to have?
and so I think there's a lot of discussion that needs to happen. One, John, you mentioned director. Well, we can't have a director. There's not a position for a director.
It's in the budget.
It can be in the budget, but it doesn't live anywhere. There's no,
So how do you recommend?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
We do not oversee this other than to recommend.
I disagree with you. I disagree. I think this committee,
The law is very clear. Very clear.
John, I know the law better than at least maybe one other person in here. I know the law. And
I've looked at.
this committee can have a lot of oversight.
I've been on this committee ever since I've been here, almost 10 years.
And you used to interview candidates. And you used to have more oversight. When Gary Keats was the chairman, I'm telling you.
I agree with you. We used to interview every single candidate. That's right. But you saw.
and you didn't have a problem with it then.
Well, actually, you saw what happened. We had gentlemen and women in that office that were not doing what they were supposed to do.
Kind of what we just ended up dealing with.
Well, all I'm saying is Randy, he didn't show, he showed up for work and then he went off to work somewhere else.
But Randy, I'll say this, if I could go back to the time when Randy did a good job. Randy got along with people. Randy had relationships. Now he didn't.
He stole from the county.
I'm not denying that, but I think
That's not acceptable.
that if you ask the commissioners that know, I knew him personally,
I know him also.
and if I could go back to a time, heck, I wish I had Randy back.
I don't know anybody else would say that.
Heck, I'd go back to Harry Carr and
But you can't ever.
Jack Arnold and Chuck Smith, and I'd go back to them.
You can't ever go back.
My point is, though, we got to have a basis. We got to have ground rules. We got to have a way that we're going to carry this office forward to get respect back. Because I talk to the officers, I talk to the judges, and there is a mistrust, a lack of respect in the community of the judicial community of that office.
Not anymore.
Well,
See, what you're saying.
and I don't mean, and I'm not.
What you're
I
saying,
get along
like,
with everybody, the judges, we have a meeting that's gonna get scheduled with all 3 judges.
But the officers still have
The officers,
some understanding that
we look at probable cause. That's what we do.
that's what you do.
That's
So-
all that we do.
And I-
We don't have court, we don't argue, we do probable cause.
And I was going to give you time to speak, so if we can bring it back to the committee.
Okay.
And I'm going to direct this though and say, none of this that I'm talking about, I've already said, I'm all for you all.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So But
anyhow, okay, let's get back to
But I think, John, we need to have a structure,
Yeah,
and, you know, at the will of the committee, we can put the policies and procedures back in place that govern that office.
the office is governed by the law.
Let me,
It's governed by the law.
let y'all go to your neutral corner here and let me have just a minute. I went back this morning and read all the minutes for the last 3 years. And I thought that would prepare me for tonight. But what it did, I found something that y'all may knew about, have known about, but I had forgotten. But back in 2006, we adopted a resolution and job descriptions for the Office of Judicial Commissioner. And it went through the County Commission 23-4, 1 against. And I'm gonna give you all this information. I made copies. I don't expect you to digest it tonight, but I do think we ought to look at it and see what's still in place, what have we overturned, and then what do we need to put in place. And I'm just trying to, I guess, kill you with information. And I'm gonna keep that. Sure, John, for me.
well, I'm with Mike. I think we need to come up with some type of a structure for this office again. I don't know, I mean, I'm the one who made the motion to actually overturn the policy manual, and I still stand by that. But I think we do need to have some type of procedure as to how this committee functions in terms of how we actually do appointments, and then our role as this committee goes into the JC's office. Now, again, I don't think that we can be as heavy-handed as that policy manual, and that is based on recommendations that I got specifically from CTAS with multiple state-level attorneys, which is why I asked for us to overturn the manual. But at the same time, we need to have some kind of a procedure. So I think maybe we can find some numbers in the middle.
When you
So
say procedure, what do you mean by that?
I mean by how we
Procedure to do what?
to be able to follow TCA, to be able to select and appoint judicial commissioners.
Well,
To be able to actually make sure that we listen to the judges as per TCA, because that's what it says.
it says
and then we can-
recommendations important for appointments and reappointments. That's what it says. And
That's
they should give them to us.
exactly, that's what I'm talking about, is that kind of a procedure, that we come up with a procedure at this table as to how we as a committee want to function to be able to do our job to follow TCA.
disagree with this.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with this, Mike.
most of those are what y'all want anyway, with maybe one or two you wanna back out of.
Yeah.
But this would supersede,
Yeah.
It's still in effect,
It's still in
unless we overdid it.
Yeah.
Unless we
the county
overdid it.
commission hadn't.
Yeah,
No, and I didn't find anything in the minutes. I mean, we've kind of nitpicked it a little bit, but right now, that's still in effect, and it gives some pretty good, Lauren, I didn't mean to.
no,
I'm sorry, I didn't either. I just-
yeah, I hadn't even started
But we
reading
did.
because I was, well,
Apologies.
but does that make sense? Instead, if that's our goal right now, is to actually just not talk about appointments of specific people at the moment, but come up with a plan.
This kind of tracks, though, even the policies and procedures that we did. I think it was more in depth than this,
It was.
but this kind of tracks what the purpose of that manual was.
Yeah, I guess, that goes back 18 years, and frankly, I didn't remember, but I saw a reference in something I had in the 2022 file. And, so we got that from Sandra this afternoon. I made y'all copies so you can look at it. I didn't really expect you to act on it tonight, but I do think you ought to look at it, digest it, and see, does it still work? If not, what do we want to tweak? And,
Last few
Mike
years.
says we don't need a director, we don't need a supervisor over there, but I disagree with that because every office needs somebody.
Like what are you, office manager?
Every
I think this document says we have to have one. I mean,
right now, you got a judicial commissioner supervisor, and it doesn't matter what you call them, somebody's in charge.
Supervisor,
They
office
have to do
manager.
the scheduling, they have to do the time.
and it lays out what their job is.
Orchestrate the training, just like it says.
Give y'all
It's always
reports.
been that way. It's always been that way.
Well, they don't interfere with once.
Well,
No, they're not interfering with warrants. As a matter of fact, they can issue warrants as well.
Don't know if I really like that.
Supervisor, and they're a judicial commissioner as well.
Can we take 10 minutes just to read through this real quick? Would that be okay with everybody?
You're a teacher, man. You got speed reading.
10 minutes if you want. I don't know. I was just
yeah, like I said, I didn't know whether you wanted
read through it.
to deal with all this.
Well, it's-
Well,
Now, in HR right now, we have job descriptions. Is that not true?
Yes,
And the job descriptions are for the director
yes. There's a director, a deputy director, and then.
and the commissioners, correct? Okay.
well,
And this was,
But I'm telling you,
yeah.
I haven't read those job descriptions, but
Yeah.
this would supersede any job description.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it says in HR.
perhaps, unless they got approved through the commission.
Yeah, unless, that's right, but this did get approved.
Another thing is we also need to compare what those job descriptions are now.
I
To
think they're very
this.
similar to what this says.
Well,
I've read them.
okay.
They're very similar, just reading this over. There's not a whole lot of difference between them. Just,
I can go and print those.
and yet, would you, okay, if you
Mom?
would, that'd be great.
Thank you.
And I think what the job description did for HR was put it in the job description form,
Right.
like other job descriptions in the county. I think that's all they did. And it didn't misinformation and did it.
Well, if we can read through this, then we can just double check.
Mike, we wrote a rule in here. Is that rule, did you read the first full paragraph of the discipline procedure? I mean,
Aggressive listening.
yeah, but read, it's,
Yep. We can't.
Also,
I didn't think we could.
We can't.
also you have to be careful because when it talks about discipline and things
I think-
like that.
I think Randy actually wrote this one, I believe.
Okay.
So this
But I don't know that.
from the HR manual.
Yeah.
That's what discipline. Yeah, the other board of judicial conduct. Those are the two disciplinary. You can do,
Yeah, I
you can do discipline based on an HR violation. Or discipline based on the violation based on which we, that's the only thing we do.
It's just a, never done an evaluation. Randy used to do evaluations.
Have y'all been evaluated?
Not in the last 3
And
years.
this basically,
Have been.
this discipline.
Yeah. And it was that evaluation that he used to evaluate.
Because the law is clear.
I know, I see what you're looking at.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I thought.
Well, there, yeah.
Or because,
We can't.
You gotta have
We can't.
it can't be run by the, this is the
I wonder if the
legislative body.
TCA was rewritten, so.
which paragraph? Okay. So what they-
We bouncing off the short judicial discipline.
We don't, no. We as a committee cannot run the office. We can't run any judicial office. It's not under the legislative, okay, good.
Thank you. Because I really want to listen to you, but I need to read too. I can't do both.
Did he what? He was so excited. Really? He said, the next time I come through there, man, I'm gonna stop and say,
I wish she would. I'm just thinking back. Great memories over 6 years. Like, it's just so smart. Yeah. He was my direct boss. He was our operations manager.
he's still smart.
Hey, what? I don't think you can, yeah, I
Great.
don't think we can do this.
We can't, that's what he said.
Right, yeah.
That's why I agree too.
Yeah, because that's. Yeah. So if this is actually active and passed, do we need to amend this so it follows TCA? Because it doesn't right now.
Well, the problem is TCA doesn't have a bright line rule in this. There's no TCA that has a bright line rule over the discipline.
Well, my understanding was that we had two choices for discipline, right? In a situation where you can either
But that's not,
refer to judicial conduct or and asked or sued,
Where we want to, yeah.
and that's it, right?
That's what the Attorney General's opinion says.
Right.
yeah.
Right, so that's set
But what
up.
I'm saying is that's not necessarily lined out in TCA
It's not.
that says that.
That's more, common law, case law.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, we quote TCA a lot, but really all TCA does is establish the position and say you've got the option to set a term up to 4 years.
and then,
That's all it is.
That's all it gives
and then
us.
we gotta talk to judges, cause that's in TCA too, that's basically it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does, but that's,
the reason I hesitate on that is you've got about 5 or 6 different categories based on population.
Yeah, but it is under ours that we shall
There you go.
listen to our judges.
is this all the same?
Yeah, you gotta pass them on.
Director, okay, so there's directors.
Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah, so I've got a director. Okay. Does anybody else need a director?
Assistant?
Okay.
Statutes related to
Okay, so here's an assistant.
it's structured statewide. Not
Yeah.
this population gets to do this.
Don't go on with service,
It's just.
It's okay. It makes no sense.
Yeah, they, that make training on you forget they are not.
Okay, so.
I'm not listening.
Well, you know how that works. Some legislators in some county doesn't like the way it's working, so he comes in, down and changes it to his population.
Yeah. Which always frustrates me because you have to go and do a census search and figure out what the county population was at the time.
Right.
And if you just put the county.
Yeah.
Big four are never gonna do things like everybody does.
No.
You teach Senate school?
No.
To read this.
Mm-hmm. Mike, in your reading of the minutes, was there ever a time that, the policies and procedures manual, that just was born out of the committee, did that ever get voted on by the full commission?
I don't recall it.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't remember doing it either.
I
Yeah,
don't
because
think,
I hadn't seen it until I was on this committee.
It was never voted on.
the full commission's voted on very little other than appointments and terms.
And this resolution?
Yeah.
They're supposed to do the employee performance evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Based on this packet you gave us with this employee performance evaluation that's in here, who's supposed to do that?
The supervisor. Yeah. But again, it comes back to if you evaluate
Right,
and you tell them, hey, you need improvement here or you're doing a great job here or whatever, but you have no authority to discipline.
right.
So
You can discipline according to the HR manual.
I don't think so, Mr. Stone.
Well, this.
But they're employees.
No, they are judicial elections who have an appointment. They're not employed.
Which is where it goes back to what
Yeah.
type of.
That's why I say we sometimes try to compare these positions to all other county employees.
Yep.
Because they're not. They're closer to this man's job than they are any of ours.
So I think I was actually told by CTOS that because they are in TCRS and they follow our vacation policies, that they are technically employees.
Exactly.
So hang on.
I strongly disagree with that.
Okay.
They have to follow our policies.
Okay,
To be an employee implies that somebody bosses you,
right.
and nobody bosses them.
Right.
But as you said long ago, they're all taught.
Yeah, they are. You're absolutely right.
Now, they may have to comply with our vacation and sick policy.
Right.
And also, they're not bossed by being scheduled. Scheduling has to be done by somebody.
I agree with that, yeah.
Okay, yeah, training has to be coordinated with someone.
I agree with
We need
that.
someone, the supervisor, director, whatever you want to call the
I agree
person.
with that.
We need somebody there that can do that. Because if we just put these people all in one room,
Yeah.
there's nobody gonna get paid anything, because no time card's gonna be turned in.
No, I agree with
We're all in
that.
agreement that
You know,
an office
everybody comes
manager
up
is
with whatever they
needed.
want.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work either.
Yeah.
So what I'm
It's just-
saying is we need somebody there that is in charge of that stuff.
It's what is our vision for the supervisor at this point?
Well, I think right now, we can't put another person in that position to be an office manager. Budget is coming up, and put it in. I don't have a problem with putting an office manager in the whole thing, but I don't think we can do it right now because of the budget process. I don't know that we can, but I don't know.
Wouldn't this be extenuating circumstances? At which point we could.
What's the question is just change this right here.
Well, somebody mentioned maybe an office manager would be appropriate, it's not a judicial commissioner, but an office manager that would orchestrate the scheduling, the time cards. I don't know about the training though.
We would change this from director of judicial commissioner to office manager. Change the name.
You can do that, but
And nothing
also-
changes.
There'd also be a judicial commissioner. Correct or no?
I wouldn't want one. I want somebody, me personally, me being one vote again,
Oh, I know.
I want somebody in that office that is not going to interfere in any way. And I know that they're not going to interfere in any way, except for this job, which is basically to set their time, let them do their job, and that way we don't have to worry about interference, which I've been screaming for years.
So like an administrative manager.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's
JC.
saying. I don't have a problem with that. I don't really care how we do it. I really don't. But she's got a, can I call on you for a comment? Stacy, go ahead.
So if that's fine, if that's what you guys want to do, that's fine. But so this administrator that puts the schedule out, and let's say Lakeisha's sick, and you call the administrator and she said she's sick. I mean, what are we gonna do? I mean, that administrator can't come in and fill for that job in that time.
Exactly.
But if you have a supervisor that's also a commissioner, like right now, I'm on call. So if she calls out tomorrow morning, I'll have to work 2 shifts.
Exactly.
But an administrator couldn't do that unless they were a judicial commissioner. I mean, I'm good with whatever.
Well, I agree. I'm not for it all. I used to think office manager would be good, but I think that's,
I mean, that's my only issue.
I agree with you on that because I think you need an extra person to fill in because we have people sick.
But I do agree with them that whoever the supervisor is should not interfere with another commissioner's doing warrants, doing orders of protection,
Right.
because they're individual and it's their job.
Exactly, I agree. Yeah, that's what we said over and over again, and however, if you're a judicial commissioner and you come in and something happens and you have a question. So, it doesn't have to be the supervisor, you could go to.
Yeah, we talk amongst
That's
ourselves.
what I mean, you say, hey, I got this situation, and this and this and this.
This job
If you ever have
description,
one of those, but you still make the decision independently.
this job description of the supervisor says there will be 6 staff meetings a year. The minimum 6 staff meetings, which I think is what you're talking about when y'all come together and talk about things.
If you've had those, right, you've had staff meetings monthly almost?
Every 3-4 months.
Yeah, but the problem with staff meetings too, is you gotta bring everybody in.
Yes, that's what I talked
And on shift
about today.
That's always a problem. I mean, with staff meeting, you got people on shift work, they just got off work and they're sleeping, they gotta have staff meeting. It's a problem now. It happens, I was in the military a long time, we did that no matter what, you know? Didn't matter what happened, you came to the
We're
meeting.
trying to get with the judges at least once a quarter so we can get their feedback on what we're doing, because that's important. Exactly. Yes, we did. And we need to get back to that.
And
Okay.
it was a good,
So, yeah, are we in agreement, we do need some supervision? I'm not sure whether that's agreement.
I'll say on the staff meetings, just as a workaround, as a teacher, if I have to miss a staff meeting that's been called by our principal, I just make up the meeting with the principal. And there's several teachers that are in on this, so you could have 2 or 3 that miss the meeting. I mean, I know it's not a good for sharing of ideas and stuff like that because you're not all together, but
And most of the time during staff meeting, you take minutes,
yeah.
you take notes, and then really, we post them.
Yeah.
Because this is what happened in the commander's hall.
Yeah.
And if you weren't there, to read up on it. And a lot of times, we put a letter out. I put a letter out every month for commander's hall and say, this is what we discussed, this is this and this. This guy got this award. So everybody would know, even if they weren't there. But,
And if you pre-schedule them, it's easy to make sure everybody can be there at it.
yeah,
As many people as possible. So you can't just say, all right, we're having a meeting tomorrow.
okay.
You know.
Well, right now, we don't have a designated supervisor in the office. And what I'm hearing is we need someone. Now, before, when we needed someone, we called on Miss Stacy to do it, and she gladly did that and filled in very nicely. It's my understanding she has done this before. And I would recommend that we, to as much as we can appoint anybody to do anything over the commission, I think since she's already a commissioner in the office, I think as a committee, we can ask her if she would be willing to take on that role as an interim until we decide what we're going to do with the appropriate pay that comes with that. And I would make a motion to do that.
Before we make that decision, should we walk backwards a little bit and get some logistics taken care of here at this table as to how we're gonna function? Does that make
Well,
sense?
this is part of the function. We're gonna have somebody in supervisory role. We can't function without that. Because we need somebody to do the schedule, the time cards, coordinate the training. And right now, we don't have anybody designated to do that.
I don't think we're gonna get everything fixed tonight.
No,
There's no way.
I agree with you.
Yeah, still your motion.
I said, all right, Mike.
I am in agreement with John that we need to have something set as far as to get that office functioning
Exactly.
until we can get to work and really, because I don't know if it's gonna take, if 2 meetings are gonna do it. I think we're gonna spend a lot of time here in the near future as far as squaring away the judicial.
You're right, and I think Mike's right, but maybe we want to go back and interview the people at the committee level with HR here with us for any new people coming on in the next, when we look forward. I mean, that's an option. We did this before, we interviewed everyone before. And it wasn't a bad situation. And then we had 3 or 4 people in that interview, and we interviewed them all, and then we voted in the committee with a yes or no. We had 1 or 2 positions open or whatever. That's what we did before. Now, I don't have a problem with that, but once we do that, then they have to do the background checks, and they gotta do all this and that.
But y'all, a few months ago, maybe even a year now, made the decision that you turned all that over to Kiana. So if you go backward, you're gonna need to reverse that.
Well, that's just an option,
I'm not speaking for or against,
I'm just saying that's an option.
yeah.
In the future, we talk about that at the next meeting or something, think about it.
I think that's before we have this in hand.
But I didn't either, and I'm sorry.
That's okay, so.
I was the only one of y'all that was here during that time, and I should have,
Right,
but I didn't.
that's okay.
You don't have these resolutions memorized.
Yeah.
No, I had thoughts on you before.
But if this is actually what the guidelines are that have been passed by commission, and if this supersedes everything else, then I would think that this would be our starting point.
Absolutely.
Unless we voted on the floor of the commission that changed something as to this resolution. But I think in order to do that, we would have had to recognize this resolution, that it was being changed.
That's usually the way it works. You
Right.
know, I reference the previous resolution and say, well, committees met with.
Because if that's not the case, a government body would change stuff at will.
That's right.
But there's a reason we have a resolution.
There is, and I think Lauren's right. You gotta work from that. You gotta assume that's what you're dealing with right now.
Yeah, so
Now, some of that, I don't think you're gonna wanna keep, but most of it seems to work pretty well.
yeah. Well, I think some of them we're gonna have to change because of changes to make sure that we actually are honoring AG opinions that have happened since and so on. But, okay, but if this is our starting point, then we don't need to turn around and look at this other manual that we already tossed.
No.
We start here.
Okay, why don't we go back to this supervisory role so we can stay on point here. I made a motion that we ask Ms. Stacy to take this position with the appropriate changes in pay to be our supervisor. As an interim, if she would do that, because she's done it before, she did a nice job. And still, we need to hire more people in the office. So we have to make it more inviting for people that want to work there. And I think Stacy's been a good role model. She's worked well with the judges. And I think she would do a nice job and she would be more amenable. And she knows strictly the rules are you're independent. You can talk among yourself, but you got to make this decision on your own. They do hundreds of warrants a month, hundreds. And if one police officer comes in and complains about somebody, it may be legitimate, it may not. But we're not there. We're not in here. And I can't make a judgment and say, well, they screwed up. I don't know. And that's why we're independent. And I think the judges would agree that you can't have commissioners second guessing what they're doing. We just can't, it doesn't work that, you can't do it that way. So that's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
What's your time frame on this?
Thinking until we can not research this, and maybe even have another resolution in the commission to clean this up to make sure we're complying with the law. And maybe even adopt maybe some of these job descriptions that, you know, so.
But in the meantime, do you have a specific time frame for the interim position? Or is it just gonna be?
It's gonna be an interim position until we can, recommend a full-time position for them. And it may be Stacy get the full-time position too, I don't know. But, and we can interview people for that position in the future. We did that before. We had interviews and we had several interviews. We put the supervisory role out there, and I think we had at least 10 people, and we interviewed them all.
But with the way it's set up now, will those interviews come through this committee or will it go through county?
Well,
Yeah.
I think it can come through the committee, and we can ask questions, and maybe we don't make the decision, but maybe we do.
Ultimately, we're gonna make the
We're
decision.
gonna make the decision anyhow, so I think it'd be appropriate if we be on the interview. And we can ask questions, Kiana can give us questions, we have our own questions, and we're very familiar with those on now, and what those are things. So we have some good ideas about, can you get along with people, you know what this means, you know what that means, what happens if somebody tells you to issue a warrant or not issue a warrant, things like that. We have all this knowledge now, and we've always had it. So I think in the future, we should set up interviews and put it out for, you know, requests for people to apply for.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
And I'm gonna compare this to a football coach, especially in college. A name will get mentioned that he wants to go to another school and he'll deny it. He'll stand on the podium and say, I'm not interested. What he's doing is covering his tail because he don't want his boss to know that he's going there.
Exactly.
You got some of this here, because if y'all interview him, it's open to the public. And then if they don't want their boss to know they're looking for another job, they may not apply. Where I'm headed with that is maybe do something on a modified basis. Let everybody apply, through Kiana. She knows what she's doing. Narrow it down to 3 people or 5 people, and then say, you will have to come for a public interview if you want the job. And that's just a
No,
suggestion.
I agree with that. I'm not trying to.
I can put
I'm
myself,
just thinking we need to do something.
I can put myself in that position 20 years ago.
Okay.
If I was been looking to change a job or something.
Okay. Bastiana, would you be willing to do that?
Yes.
Advertise the position and the final 3 people will come to the committee?
Or if she thinks, hey, I've got 5 good ones, y'all make the decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Up to y'all.
Is there any problem with
It's
that?
okay. Do these public meetings need to be recorded? Because you can imagine actually having a job interview that you're publicly recording.
Well, it wasn't public before, Mike.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
right here.
Wait a minute.
Well, that's
It wasn't
what I'm
public
asking, is
before.
can we-
It was, but we asked them to stay outside and they honored it.
Yeah.
But keep in mind now, we were recording these things and we're going out to the,
Well, that's what
So
I'm
you want-
asking is, can we go back and change the rules?
I think so, it's up to this committee.
Yeah, I would think that we
Which-
should actually.
I think the rule was up to the will of the committee.
and the rule would be what?
That all meetings that happen here are recorded. I think that's the rule, but it's the will of this committee that can say, we don't want this meeting recorded.
I don't know if that's the case. Like, you're
I
looking.
thought we left it up to the committees themselves.
Any public meeting can be recorded by anybody.
Yeah, I think that's dangerous to.
Well, so, I know there's a motion, there's a second on the table, but,
Who seconded?
we have 3 full-time people in here
Yeah,
who
need some help.
they need help. And
Somebody-
it's the core of that office. And I appreciate all 3 of them. And if we were to lose any of them, I don't know how that office can function anymore.
Right.
And so I think because I do understand the role of that office, and I don't want to put any of you on the spot, and I know we've received a email from you, and we appreciate that, but I think it's important that you all are cohesive and get along.
We do.
I'm there now, even the part-time, we all get along. It's fine.
Because I don't want to make a decision, and then we hear after this meeting, well, Miss Davis has left, or Mr. LaFever has left, because then we're hurt even more. Although I know John better than I know either one of you, I know you better than you think I know you, because you used to, for a short time, work with my wife.
I did work with your wife.
You did for
At Dr. Pino's office.
Well, it was Dr. Long's.
Dr. Long, yes. No,
For a very, very short time, but yes.
I did.
But I don't want to lose the core of that office. And I can say, when I say complaints, I don't mean an officer's upset because a warrant didn't get issued. But I've never heard anything negative about the 3 of you all. The only thing negative I heard is about Ms. Davis, but it wasn't your fault, was you weren't there when somebody came to get an order of protection. And you were the person that got referred the orders of protection. That wasn't your fault. And I think that's been fixed. Everybody's doing them now.
I'm not scheduling anymore. Judge Hagan does not like that.
Right.
We're all doing them when they come
If
in.
someone is genuinely in need of order of protection, they need it now.
Now.
It can't wait.
Right.
At 9 o'clock. They need it now. And this notion of schedule is just blowing my mind.
But that wasn't performed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She got thrust in that position. I know.
I just know how to do it.
And you've had experience.
That's right.
You've had that experience, and again, but our county doesn't fall under that part of the statute that says we have a person that's assigned to do that. Now, that is part of the statute, but it doesn't apply to us. But I guess as a committee, I don't want us to sit up here and say, this is how your office is gonna run. I don't think that's fair.
Right.
I think that we need buy-in from the core at least, of how you all would like to see it run. I think that's what's important. A bunch of bureaucrats making decisions, that never turns out good.
No, it does.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true, and I can't think of anything.
Okay, what's your
It's
question?
particular motion. Okay, so if we're voting on an interim director, from a budgetary standpoint, we already have a director who we are paying.
Yes.
So if you made the motion,
Why don't we change that to make her the deputy, which according to current F2, we have the deputy and the director, 6 full-time, 4 part-time. So in the budget line, we do have a deputy. So why don't we make her the deputy director?
okay, so you're gonna change your motion?
Now change it to make her the deputy.
Because I was gonna say,
Director.
because,
Yeah, but I don't think those are the top official.
They're not according to.
I know we have a job description,
But
but,
we have the
Yeah.
budget line for that, though.
well, and I'm not a rocket scientist about budgeting, but I can tell when we're supposed to have 10 to 12 people, and we only have 5,
It's bad.
well, and not.
Money's gonna be-
Money's there,
Yeah.
we've got the money,
so the
but
money's there,
Exactly,
it's
so that's
for
what I'm saying.
when we start the next
But we
fiscal
haven't-
year, so as long
we're
as.
still gonna be short
Well,
people.
as long as you saw those open positions, then we do have additional money to be able to do this, but
Exactly.
I think that the director's position may actually be in a different line item.
I need director, and the director is in different line items.
Okay,
Regular,
so that,
regular people. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
so at
three,
that
there's 3
point-
different line items.
Exactly, there's 3
I
lines.
just wanna make sure that we don't need to do a budget amendment here. That's the only reason why I'm asking these questions, is that
it's an empty position right now,
So, okay,
So the
Well,
assistant,
saying what he's recommending.
Excuse me, there is no deputy director in that position right now.
Right.
So what we're saying is, we'll make her the deputy
Okay.
director,
And,
which
Is he
ultimately is the supervision in the office now.
okay, so you amended your motion then?
Make her the supervisor and put her in the deputy director budget position.
I'm comfortable with that. I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
tell me again, Mr. John, I was talking, I was listening.
Supervisor of the office.
Acting supervisor. Acting supervisor.
Acting supervisor, and she'd be in the position of a deputy director with the appropriate pay.
So she's gonna be an acting supervisor with deputy director pay.
Exactly.
All right. And the deputy director does make more than a regular judicial commissioner?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I think we're ready for a vote, if everybody's ready. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Vote. Okay.
Okay.
Now, we do have this part-timer.
You wanna check, make sure she go and accept the deputy director?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Don't say, don't say.
Move on, I have another question. Okay, so if this again is our guidelines, right here, it says that, the person, shall be designated by the county commission upon recommendation of the judicial committee. At which point, what we just did is fine, but it has to be approved by the county commission.
And we need to do that one tonight. We need to amend the agenda and do that.
I just need to make sure, because I don't think we've done this in the past, when we're talking about supervisors.
Yeah, we have.
So, well,
Yeah.
We have before.
but not for deputy director.
Well, it depends, because the policy procedures manual that they were operating off of gives that authority to the director
Right.
to name that, not to this body.
That's what I'm saying,
So we haven't had to do that. Well,
right,
Okay, now I have another question.
but at this point, we just need to do the one
yeah,
resolution.
okay,
We need to amend the agenda Monday night and put, you know, we've already got this appointment on
Like I
there.
said, I'm just making sure that we're doing all this
You
right.
know, we need to get them
I want
help.
to start correct.
Okay, can I complete? We need to get them help. Now, they have interviewed this lady here, Jenny White. Now, I don't know her either, but I've seen her, I've read through this stuff, and she seems like she would be a possible help here. It's gonna take a while to get her trained. She's been interviewed, the references have been checked. There's still some issues that have to go as far as background checks and all that. Is that true?
No, haven't been for background.
Okay, I'm doing the background check. So anyhow, so it's not for sure yet, but I'd like to make a motion that we recommend her for a part-time position, I'd say for 9 months. It's not a year. Is 9 months good?
It's up to you.
Who was part of the interviews? Who did the interviews?
She did it?
And who else?
Like that.
And
I said-
recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
They had three
So-
recommendations, but I only sat in on one
Okay,
person, and that's the person I recommended.
I
okay.
think you're going for a motion and second before we have discussion, so I don't,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint her for 9 months. And, that should give her enough time to get some warrants under her belt if she completes the training and all that. Do I have a second for that?
I would like to get Judge Hagan's opinion on this because this is where we were going in January. Trying to
He
figure out
doesn't
how
know
to
the lady,
I understand.
and he didn't interview her.
Okay, I'm not talking about this individual person.
your opinion doesn't matter, Judge, so you can leave.
Because his opinion always matters.
Okay, I'm not talking about this individual. Again, back to what we're talking about, going back to the basics, if this is what our Bible is at the moment, I'm trying to figure out a way that we can actually set a standard. So that way, as Canada interviews people, she knows how to actually throw it out there. So the question then becomes, because I know that the solution has always been, well, we'll hire them part-time for a year, and if they don't work out, we just won't schedule them. I don't like that. I don't think that's fair to the employee. I don't think that's fair to the head count that's then taken until that person, it's just, I don't like that policy at all. And I
What
know
policy
that's,
would you rather like?
well, that's,
Before we make it clear.
I'm trying to have this conversation.
Well, I know, but I'm trying to gather in my mind, what are you talking about?
Okay, so I'm trying to speak to Judge Hagan about the idea. What we threw out in January was 90 days with the thought that there was a training period of 60 days, and then a judge would swear in the judicial commissioner. They would operate as a full judicial commissioner for 30 days. Then all the judges could take a look at the warrants per TCA. We can go back and actually ask the judges, what do you think? And they could give us a recommendation, and based on the recommendation, then we could turn around and offer them a year-long term. That's what I'm asking. Is 90 days appropriate? Do we need a longer term? That's what I'm asking this body.
I don't know that there is a cookie cutter way, because it's going to depend on their experience.
And availability.
And their availability and so forth. If you've got somebody who has a law enforcement background, they're going to be familiar with the law, what probable cause means, and so forth. If you've got somebody who's coming from a different field altogether, they're going to probably require more training. So I don't know that there is a perfect fit. We talked about the 90 days back in January. We were told at the time that the training would take 30 to 60 days.
Right.
We were told after that the training far exceeded that and they needed 6 months. I don't know what their training consists of. I can tell you that I offered more than once to conduct training over the last 3 years regarding orders of protection, because that's what I handle. Judge Lee likewise has offered training on the criminal issue of warrants.
Didn't know that.
That fell on deaf ears. We never heard anything back.
We did.
And I don't know the reason. That really doesn't matter. I'm willing still to this day. I'm willing to do that for new hires if that would be something that'd be
I
helpful.
love that. No, I've reached out
because-
to you and Judge Lee and everybody. Absolutely.
Their jobs are complicated in that, they have the potential to take someone's liberty, to
Right.
kick somebody out of their house, to keep them from seeing their children.
Yes.
I mean, that's a lot of power when you just sit down and think about it. So, but at the same time, officer or individual comes in, I want order of protection, I need a criminal warrant. You pull up the correct statute, you listen to the facts, is there probable cause?
That's exactly right.
That's it.
That's it.
It doesn't, I think it has been overcomplicated,
It has.
unnecessarily so.
It has.
That's a long way of answering your question, Commissioner Breeze, but I don't know. I would think 90 days would be sufficient, personally. Now, I understand Kiana's point in that you want to make these positions enticing because you want good people. You really do. You have that kind of authority to remove somebody and put them in jail or kick them out of their house and so forth. That's a lot of power. So you want somebody who is reasonable, listens to the officer, listens to the individual, the applicant, and then makes a decision based upon what they're presented with. And that's it.
Right.
No agenda anywhere, pro law enforcement, anti-law enforcement. You shouldn't have a position there. You're simply there to listen to the facts. Does it fit within the statute? That's it.
That's it.
So I would think 90 days. Do you remember, Stacy, what your training consists of when you came in?
When I came on, oh gosh. I would sit with commissioners and they would do the warrants, and then we actually went to the jail and stood in front of the defendant and asked them questions, and they would set a bond. At that time, we wrote the affidavit for the officer.
Right.
And we did that until Lisa came. We wrote it, which we probably shouldn't have, but the officer would come in and swear, and they would tell us their story. I would make notes, and then I would make that into a paragraph. I would let them read it, and then they would, yes,
But
that's
they
good.
would sign off.
Yes, absolutely. And I've probably done once for you too. I'm sure.
But that's not
The same way.
I don't think it is appropriate to have.
I don't think
But I mean, that part's changed, and that's great.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
It's-
But
Right.
still,
But anyway, we would sit and listen. We didn't have right now we've got a book and it's got chapters. Let's go over all the paperwork that you go through. This is what you request a day off. This is the schedule. This is the employee handbook that you sign for HR. And then we go to orders of protection. And between the three of us, we all talk about orders of protection. We talk about the most common crimes, which are Class A misdemeanors, assault, theft, the main ones. And we go through that, and they'll sit with John for weeks, and they'll sit with me, and they'll sit with Lakeisha, and they alternate. We alternate. Sometimes even before they're sworn in, I'll let them drive. I'll make the decision, but I'll let them input, to learn the process.
which is on the job training.
Right. Right.
Look at,
That's training.
Training.
That's what I was going to ask you guys.
So it depends. It depends on who you hire and what their familiarity is with the law and with the process. They interviewed, which I wanted to bring up tonight, but if I'm over speaking, just tell me. There was a person that I worked with for 7 years. He was a judicial commissioner. He interviewed with Kiana and Lisa, and he wanted to come back. They liked him, but he didn't want to give up a full-time job for 3 months. He's scared. He carries full benefits on him and his children, and he's like, if I'm part-time for 3 months, they're going to lose their benefits. So he wants to come over and just be full-time. You give him
Who was that?
give him Phillips.
See, that's my point. 3 months.
Would he come if he was given a full-time position?
Yes,
mistake.
yes.
I know him. Judge knows him.
I know he was.
He works for 911 right now. He wants third shift. Praise the Lord.
See, and that's what I mean.
That's
Here's here's my thought process.
Do what?
I initially was a 90-day person. But maybe that wasn't enough time. And I said from the front end that I wanted the judge's opinion on these people going forward. Looking back at this, we have a performance evaluation in this old packet. So what if we did a probationary period of 6 months? For those that need the additional training, don't know anything about law enforcement, that gives them time to get up to speed and still get a product to the judges that we're asking for. Those that have the experience, they're probably getting 5 months of warrants to the judges after initial training. At that point, we can go through the evaluation, and the supervisor and the judge can do this together, and dependent on excellent, satisfactory, or needs improvement, we can look. If they're meeting that excellent in every range, then maybe we're looking at a 2-year contract to get that person wanting to stay on, and we can keep people further. If they're hitting satisfactories, we do that year. And if they're hitting needs improvement, then we may not bring them around for another term. I think that this needs to have a purpose if we're going to use this, and that would be my reasoning for that purpose is how long of that contract we can give that person.
Well, I've got a question about that form. Can we even legally use that form? Because if you go back and look at the CCA, the only people that we can actually consult about performance of JCs are judges.
So I think that my opinion again, I think that there's a difference between substantive and procedural. And the evaluation is a procedural action, not substantive. You're not
Okay.
you're not
All right.
taking action against them for not issuing a warrant but you're taking it on how they are working and through the process.
Professionalism.
And
Okay.
that's what the evaluation's on. It's not how many warrants did you issue? How many did you not issue? You didn't develop probable cause right in this situation because that is their decision at that time. You can't base any evaluation on that, but I think you can base it on, do you show up and work on time? Do you get along with people? Do you work your schedules? Do you call out? How professional are you with people? Are you a jerk to people? Are you nice to people?
Complaints.
I think all of that is procedural in nature, no different than if you didn't show up for work or went work somewhere else or while you were supposed to be working, that would lead to a for cause or a reason
Not to
for discipline or not to renew them or have a pro quo warranto against them. But we can't kid ourselves that we can't judge them on the performance of how they do their job, not what they do during their job. I think judging them on that is wrong. But judging them on how I get along every day.
Right.
Am I a jerk?
Are they on time?
Oh, yeah, I think that is stuff that would.
And that sounds good.
All is involved.
All of this.
I didn't get a chance to read this earlier.
Excuse me a second. That sounds really good, but what the perception is, and I've heard this, if you say a 3-month thing, or a 4-month, or 1 year even for full-timers, I think they feel like they're under the gun if they screw up and issue a warrant or not issue a warrant.
Don't.
That they're under the gun if they don't get that order of protection properly. And I've heard you say this, Mike, with Brett, and he quit, that I would never vote for him again because he didn't do the order of protection. You said it right here.
Multiple order protections.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, multiple.
there was multiple, John, multiple.
But see,
Lives on the line.
again, that
Not because, it's not because of the individual one he wouldn't issue.
No,
That
no.
wasn't the point.
No, no,
The point is when I read the facts,
Oh, I didn't, I
read the facts and that's,
I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, what you said, we're gonna judge them based on if they show up for work.
I didn't say us.
No, I mean, for them, show up for work,
They're going to.
thing.
It's my job to judge them on however I want to judge them, right?
All I'm saying is they get the perception, if I'm working in that job and you give me a 6-month deal, and now I'm thinking I'm under the gun, I gotta issue every warrant that comes in here or I'm gonna get fired.
Never said anything about that. We just said have good work performance, not necessarily you have to write specific amount of warrants. But we've got to have a standard.
I know we have to, but I'm saying it's the perception, not the way it actually is.
John, when somebody presents themselves and they've had the hell beat out of them in an order protection issue, yeah, I got a problem with that.
Hey, I know.
And she showed herself, and she was told come back the next day.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that.
There's
I
an
think
issue
it was
with that.
wrong.
And I think that issue's been
If I
resolved.
wasn't there, I don't know. I can't judge.
But I can,
That's not,
There are not people that were there that can't.
that is not
can't
my
actually say.
job to judge it because I'm not in the judicial area. I'm a legislator. I can't decide that person.
and we're gonna have a difference of an opinion,
I'm not a judicial guy.
but I'm listening to the judges, and I'm listening to the law enforcement partners, and I'm listening to these people that won't come and talk to you because you won't listen to them.
I listen to all of them. But I'm saying is, if they have a problem getting order protection, and the other judicial commissioners are there, and they see that, they can go to the judge, they can do that. But they gotta work within their system to get it done.
They don't, shouldn't have
It's my
to.
job to go there and say, well, you screwed up.
They're not beholden to me.
Right,
Judicial Commissioner, I have no authority.
No, you have no
Yeah.
authority, however,
yeah.
and they're not beholden to us. They're not.
So, I think we had a motion
The motion.
and didn't have a second.
That's correct.
and-
Jeremy threw out an idea.
I make a motion.
My issue is, and I would like to ask, again, the people that are there, so we have a candidate that, and I don't know her, and if she watches this video later, I hope she doesn't crucify me for what I'm getting ready to say, because I don't know her. She could be the salt of the earth, and probably is. And I think that's what we say in the South to try to get away from, bless her heart, right?
Yeah.
But when I look at her resume, and I look at her experience, it's hard for me to give you all somebody that if you sit there and say, well, we got to have a warm body over nothing. You know, that pains me a little bit.
It pains us worse.
But if she's willing to come in, but then you got to train her, and then she has no concept of this world. She has no concept of the criminal element or the bad things, right? Or how to set a bond, because in my experience, what you see is people that are, they underset bonds. They don't want to set bonds high because they don't have any experience in this realm. So we'd be giving you a warm person that you're going to train. Cross our fingers, and I agree with Jeremy, 6 months, I don't have a problem with that. Cross our fingers that she's going to work out. Or, heck, and I don't mind doing that, but when I heard Givens Phillips, he's trained, he knows,
He can be trained in
he can step right in.
weeks.
I don't have a problem, and like I said,
He can hit the
if somebody has
He knows
experience,
I agree.
I don't have a problem giving them a longer term.
I don't either. I think my whole point of trying to come up with some type of a training period is for people like, okay, I'm going to use myself as an example because I don't have a law enforcement background like these guys. I'm a finance person. I learned pretty fast, but at the same time, I'm not in your world. So if it was me coming in, you're going to want me to have 6 months to train me before I actually start writing warrants. So that way you guys can then double check and make sure that I'm the right person. Does that make sense? So that's where my head is here, is how do we make sure that we get the right people in your office who are helpful to you and do the right thing. But at the same time, if you've got somebody like Givens Phillips, as we're talking about, who...
He would probably be happy to come meet with you guys.
Right. Well, at that point, though, he already knows this world.
He knows it.
Right. So at that point,
Yeah,
exactly what Mike said, we don't necessarily need to do a training period. So that's why I keep circling
Still have
this.
to have the training period, I'm sorry.
Okay, well that's why I
Maybe a
keep.
short training.
Which we don't know what the training period is.
Right.
There
We
is
This is why I
still
keep.
never got a set date on that.
It could be 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
Or 90.
Depends on the
Right.
person.
Or 6 months.
Do you not have a training manual?
Yes, we do.
You do.
We do. And we just go through chapters. There's
Exactly.
We just talked
there's
about
theft,
this.
there's orders of protection,
I mean,
criminal summons, warrant. I mean, it's just,
Okay.
A lot of people are assuming they don't know what they're doing over there. They know what they're doing. These people are qualified.
They do. Previous people
New
did.
people. So again, I'm trying to figure out how do we set up a system so you guys make sure, or will we make sure that you guys get the best coworkers possible? Do you see the question I'm asking? That's why I keep deferring to the judge, but I mean, so now, what is your opinion about this? I mean, if you have somebody who is, educated, but not necessarily, maybe in a career adjacent, but not necessarily law enforcement, what would you,
Okay.
what would you want? Do you see what I'm asking?
I totally understand
Yeah.
what you're asking.
What do you think?
But I think the problem is the Judicial Commissioner office in Wilson County has been perceived by the public now in a negative way. And so now it's harder to get those qualified candidates to even apply for the jobs.
Okay.
And based on the new standard with the 3 months and people are leaving a full-time job, it's even harder. So it's not that people don't want the job, it's just based on how we have been perceived over the last couple of years. No one wants to work in this environment.
Okay.
Can I ask,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if I went to work at Chick-fil-A, I'm an at-will employee. If I go to work at Walmart, I'm an at-will employee. If I go to work at the school district, I'm an at-will. I'm an at-will employee. I don't have 3 months.
Correct.
I'm on a 90-day probation when I'm hired in. And I think there's a misconception when we set a term, because if we set a term for a year and you come to work, and we've had this in that office, You come to work and you don't work. You come to work and you don't write warrants. I don't want that. Now, I'm not afraid with somebody that has experience and understands and knows to say, okay, and also, there's no guarantees when we say 3 months. That's more than I get. I mean, it is. You're guaranteed a job for 3 months. Now, at the end of 3 months, you're just kind of at will. Now, we're going to reappoint you for a longer term. Do I look at that weird, or, I mean, we used to do 4 years. Stacy said a lot of four-year appointments, I'm sure.
It's 4 years, except when Lisa came in, they've been a year at a time.
And
Gibbons was 4 years.
And part of that had to do with employees that didn't uphold their end. I'm trying to tread lightly here, Mike. Uphold their part of the bargain and want to come in and do a good job. And so if they're not doing a good job, then you know what's happening? And this happens. Lakeisha, you're going to call me. And you're going to say, Mike, I wish you could do something. What are we going to do about this guy or girl? They're not doing their job. Can't the committee do something? Can't the county commission do something? And it's happened.
Yeah, and we can't.
And we
Because
can't.
once we appoint them to a term, that's it.
There.
So that's why I keep circling this, is to, okay, so if we're bringing new people in, how do we make sure that you guys have the right person and they're not there for a year taking up space because they're not the right person? So it's not that we're trying to call anybody or anything like that, or make it difficult.
When you do,
Right.
when you do 3 months.
Can I get a word in
Okay.
edgewise?
Well, then-
Lauren, can I get a word? Okay, first of all, 3 months, like this gentleman, he wouldn't take the job for 3 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What
You
do
get
you-
insurance
I
for your
think-
family.
In the past, we've done part-time for a year, and it's worked out. Have we ever had a problem with a part-timer for a year? The only thing I remember is some of the part-timers didn't like it and they quit before the training was done.
A lot of
But once they were trained, the part-timer for a year worked out fine. It didn't have any problem. I don't remember anybody having any problems with part-timers for a year.
I think
You
Mr.
remember
has a
what?
comment.
Yeah, let me throw this out here. Let's say I'm a full-time employee somewhere else. I got benefits, I've got,
Right.
and I am looking at a career move. And the
Right.
career move I'm looking at is to be a judicial commissioner.
Right.
So you're asking me to give up my benefits for a year. You're asking me to come in and give up 40 hours of work per year. Who is going to take that?
That's what I mean. That's what I'm
the
getting
question
at.
that I'm asking you.
Part-time's only.
Going back to the other question.
What's that?
29 hours a week for
Yeah.
part-time.
Yeah, it's 29 hours a week. And if they come in and they want part-time work, and we appoint them for a year, that's 29 hours a week. Their training is going to be slower because they're part-time, and they may have another job.
You didn't get a chance to finish, Mr. LaFood. Go ahead.
So all I'm saying is,
You didn't get a
I
chance
don't
to finish.
think we're going to hire people to fill this office with a 3-month appointment. I don't think we're going to do it.
What was that?
Nobody's going to want the job. I wouldn't take the job for a 3-month appointment.
Well, but when you go back to look at people's experience, if we're looking to hire part-timers, we're looking to hire full-timers. If we're looking to hire full-timers and we've got a candidate like Gibbons Phillips, I think that you can do a 90-day probationary period. He can be trained he can be writing warrants in 30 days.
He can.
All we got to do is teach him the computer system. He's plug and play. Someone else like former commissioners that have been there, Fox, possibly
Mr. Mars.
Mars.
Yeah.
People of that nature that have the experience that left for varying reasons, that would be willing, under the right circumstances, to come back, whether there's hard feelings or not on this committee, those people are plug and play.
Right.
They're
That's what
coming
we
in,
need right now.
they're ready to
Right.
work.
I
They're
mean-
ready to write warrants.
The way I look at it with those, if you've been here and you've worked in that office and anybody knows you for any period of time, as long as you didn't leave under bad circumstances, then I'm ready to give a contract to that person.
Exactly.
Yeah, it goes back for how long? Is this
1 year, 2 years?
Initially 1 year, and then going by an evaluation period, then I would consider
a
2 years.
minimum of 3 months or 6 months with no guarantee?
That's.
I'm not coming over here unless I got a job.
Exactly. They're not gonna be out there for 3 months.
If they're known, I'll give them a year off the gap. After that, I want to go through the evaluation.
My opinion is we ought to go back to giving longer terms.
Me too.
And if you see somebody, if Kiana interviews somebody, or y'all see somebody that you don't think's worth the risk, don't employ them. Make sure. But you're not gonna get, if you want experienced people, the people you're gonna get for 90 days are gonna be people who are unemployed.
Exactly.
Mike, would you also recommend that, and I don't know where this started, but I guess maybe I do, then I'm gonna act like I don't. Part-time, everybody brought to us is recommended part-time.
What we used to do,
They need to be full-time and you backfill with your part-time.
yeah, what we used to do is full-timers got a 4-year appointment. Part-timers got a 2-year appointment. And the theory on that wasn't that they weren't smart enough to handle it, is that since they were seeking part-time work, they're probably gonna leave you when they get a full-time job.
Exactly.
So you need more full-timers than you do part-timers.
Right.
But this stuff about, you're gonna ask somebody to come over and say, we're gonna try you out for 90 days,
No.
and then we may cut you loose, I ain't leaving my job.
No.
I ain't letting you-
Anybody with anything.
And I think that's what John was saying.
Let's go. What about initial year, being a year?
1 year for the
And
part-timers.
after that, work from
I
there.
think that's what we used to do all the time.
That may be no, used to do 2 years.
For
Now, y'all may have done a year, but I go back 35 years.
If
And
you
it worked
can-
pretty, and I'm gonna tell you, just to be honest with you, it worked pretty good until the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say why it didn't.
I agree.
It worked pretty well. And now it seems like we're trying to reinvent the wheel.
Trying.
All because we had,
Finish all this
Mr. John, all because we had a bad experience.
Yeah.
We put in this.
Don't reinvent the wheel because we had a bad experience.
Just going back in the play.
Absolutely right.
Well, right now, this
We have to work
is,
through it.
yeah, this is our Bible. This is.
So what do you
this
think?
is our starting
Going to
point.
go
We
2
gotta
months for a part-timer?
I do,
Yeah.
but don't,
I mean, you've been here a long time. I respect your.
I appreciate that, Mr. John, but the 2 years is important because if you see somebody and you say, I want to give them 2 years, but I'm not sure they're going to work out, then don't hire them. But if you think this person's got the wherewithal to do it, I would give them 2 years, but knowing a part-time person, unless they're my age or Judge Tatum's age and they're just wanting to have some, a part-time job, but if they're going to be looking for a full-time job, they don't be with you long anyway.
No, they won't.
Or they're gonna try to work 2 jobs.
Yeah.
So that's just my thinking.
I was gonna say, if you guys wanna wait a month before you put that person up and you wanna interview them, I mean, that's up to you guys. But we want, if we could, we want to get Givens as soon as we can because we need people up and running. And we know he's one of the ones that can be.
I don't.
Is he saying he'll do the job? Because you didn't bring him toward us.
Well,
Because he said, because when they interviewed him, he said he couldn't take 3 months part-time. Because he carries benefits for his children and his wife.
Okay, so he was full-time.
He wants full-time. Yeah, and he'll come.
That's right.
But he won't, and I talked to him this past week. He'll come, but I mean, he needs to be confident that
Right,
he's got something to come to. I mean, he of course was on the 4-year plan
Right.
before. But I mean, whatever you guys are comfortable with, but he wants full-time out the gate. He don't want part-time and he won't come
Okay.
here for it.
I would give Givens 2 years off. You're right.
Say 2 years out of the gate.
And he would come for that.
Yeah, I agree with
I know him.
Yeah.
I've worked with him. Did my internship under him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, could he come?
He trained me.
Motion.
Yeah, tell me.
We don't have, we're not on him right now. We're on this other person.
That motion
I can
failed.
absolutely second.
Wow.
You think so? You got him?
He interviewed
If
very
somebody new, then maybe.
Okay. Another one, Jeremy, should we make that for him to come before the city and delay this one?
And you can delay that one.
So, for the full-time for 2 years for him? You make the motion.
You got a motion on the floor. You want to?
I think it failed for lack of a second.
Oh, no, I ain't written anything in 20 minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me go.
Yeah.
It didn't have-
He made a motion, didn't get a second.
Okay.
I said 9 months.
Is it?
She's calling to see if he wants to.
If they don't-
Kenny, do you know the exact number of positions that are available at the Judicial Commissioner's office?
Have any of y'all met this other, this?
There's 6 full-time, there's 6 full-time,
Any of y'all met this?
1 part-time director and deputy according to the budget.
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I think that's what Lauren has, so that's, okay.
Let's just double.
Make a motion.
I got a motion for a 10-minute recess.
I second
Time.
I say we hold off on the female that was coming to us.
Well, his motion was, he needs a recess.
Well, I'll say it says
Give
because.
Stacy time to make her phone call.
Making a phone
Y'all time to
Ten more
get her
recess.
information.
Okay,
Recess.
so she needs to check with him and see if he wants the job still.
Good.
And if he wants the job, we can do that now.
Yeah.
Take a 5-minute recess.
Monthly for the appointment for him.
Take a 5-minute
We need to
recess.
do some stuff tonight.
Yeah, we do. 5-minute recess. Let everybody use the restroom and make a phone call.
Recess. I don't think-
I'll bend it to 5 if
Hey,
you
No, ten fine.
Okay, we're good. Thank you.
You don't need a second. Okay, why don't we reconvene the meeting now? Yeah, we gotta get out of here. I got a date.
Make a motion to approve Givens Phillips for a 2-year contract with Judicial Commissioner's Office. Go back into session.
Okay, we're reconvening. Thank you, sir. And then we have a motion.
Would do we?
Motion to approve Givens Phillips for a 2-year contract with the Judicial Commissioner's Office.
For full-time.
Full time.
Second.
All right, y'all give me time to catch up, okay? For 2 year, that's full-time with a 2-year term.
2-year term.
All right, and Jeremy made it, and who's second, Blake?
Starting in 2 weeks after he speaks with his, after he gives a 2-week notice.
I understand he can train before that, as long as we adjust his schedule. So he can start training as soon as he's appointed.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So does this have to go in front of the commission?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and we've got a
Yeah.
place on the agenda Monday night that says part-time, we'll just amend the agenda to say full-time.
Okay, and also we'll put the other one on for the, and then we'll go with this motion, okay?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Mike? anything?
No, not about that, go ahead.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's on the agenda.
So this young lady that's up for the part-time position,
We
Okay,
can hold back on that. if
we can hold back, she said, or we can,
It's a warm body, which we just need people, but we would rather have people like Gibbons. So if we can, but the ad right now that's online says, part-time 90 days, so.
Warm body just
Does it say-
doesn't make me feel good. I don't like that.
I'm sorry, Ms. Counter, what was that?
I said the posting doesn't specify 90 days. It
does she
says
know,
part-time.
does she know she may only get 90 days? Did she-
Yes, that was explained to her
Okay.
during the interview.
Okay, so maybe,
So I don't, and I'm gonna take some backwater here, but I don't have a problem, and I understand Warm Body didn't, but she interviewed. Kiana felt good about her.
Stacy did.
No, she gave really good answers. She had reviewed the job.
And I read some of her answers, and they were, I mean,
She interviewed
for not
really
knowing
well.
anything,
She interviewed really well.
I don't want to bypass
A person.
for not knowing
Need
it.
help.
I want to clean that up a little bit.
Well, for not have a perspective of what the office is going to entail. How about that?
Sure,
There you
surely, sure.
Okay, so maybe we should entertain her appointment as well. What do you think? It's up to you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to express my concern on the front end that when you read her resume and I read all of her experience, I worry about longevity in that office and wasting time. So, but if
What about 6 months? Because she's gonna take more time to train. But if we can get her in there, yes,
I have one more thing.
it's a,
So we had a previous employee that did a good job, had issues with Lisa.
Yeah.
They butted heads. And we've talked about maybe possibly bringing her back, but you guys would have to approve that. I've even asked Kiana about it.
okay.
She did quit without a notice because she got in an argument with Lisa over 15 minutes.
Who's that?
Anita Fox.
She was separated without no hire, with no rehire.
But they
She was part-time or full-time?
full-time, come
Yeah.
back full-time.
Yeah, because this person would be appointed by the county commission. Rehire, no rehire, that doesn't matter.
Lisa
because they're
put no
not-
rehire on her half sheet, but
Okay.
again, they were,
That
Who
doesn't
put the
matter
no
because
rehire?
we appoint.
Is that,
Lisa did.
It's
so it
the
wasn't
only
you that
one-
put the
Not me, no.
rehire?
It's, yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't care what Lisa says.
She appointed.
Yeah.
yeah.
It wasn't her that put it, it was Lisa that put it. I don't care what Lisa
In
said.
general, and I think these are actually the only positions that we have the authority to do this because we.
You know, I
appoint
don't,
them.
I don't want to go totally rogue on the committee here, but I talked to Ms. Fox prior to that. And she expressed a lot of concerns. And again, I say what I say to everybody that calls me. I can only deal, this committee, I'm only a person. The committee can only deal with something that we have in writing. If you want to put something in writing, then we can deal with it. But I'm not saying that I don't know if her concerns were valid. From what I've heard in that office, she did a good job.
She did a good job. She did a good job.
And she was recommended for that position
She absolutely
by Ms. Colton Jerome.
Absolutely.
So
Is she,
I have a
has
question.
she expressed a desire to come back?
Yes.
Okay,
She
so
did not want to leave.
we have. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, before you go on, Lauren, so what does that mean that you want her to be recommended tonight or you
Well,
want?
that's what I'm asking. Is that even possible? Would you even consider?
We just did it for Givens
Well, that's
Phillips.
why I was going to ask two questions here. Okay, so based on head count, I think.
We have,
I think-
we have another position.
Well, that's what I was asking. So, Kiana, did you double check? So, what I have is 6 full-time, 4 part-time, a director and assistant director. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So, we just offered a full-time position to Givens Phillips. We have 3 full-time sitting right here. Well, actually, okay, so you are the
Deputy, no?
deputy. So,
We have two
we
more.
got that position. So, we've got 6 full-time positions. So, now we're up to 3, right? No, wait. We're
You're
missing.
two if you put me as deputy, so there's
Right.
4
With Givens next to me.
outstanding.
So you
Where is
have
Mr.
another
Is Mr.
position.
Rizal still with the office?
No,
Who?
This is it.
this is it.
The guy-
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing somebody else and I wasn't, as I'm sitting
Okay,
here
so why
counting.
don't we entertain Miss Fox as well?
Well, we need to
So-
confirmation that she wants the job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. You're absolutely sure she wants to come back?
You want me to call her? real
You
quick?
bet.
I would like, can we do a,
While she's doing that, let's talk about this part-time.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think
We
the
still haven't
part-timer is worthy of getting in there because we need part-timers. And she applied for it. She interviewed well, recommended by 2 of these ladies that interviewed her. I say we do 6 months because it's gonna take a little longer to train her since she's not experienced in the whole area. I think 3 months would be coming back, reappointing her to finish her training. That's my personal opinion. And we did this before, and then we had to extend it for the other two part-time.
Is that a motion for 6 months?
I make a motion for 6 months for this part.
What's her name?
I'll
Her
second.
name is,
Jenny White.
Jenny White.
Okay, I'll second for 6 months. And I want to clarify real quick in conversation as to why I keep circling this
90 days.
90 day. Well, it's not even, it doesn't even have to be 90 days. It can be, yeah, but a short term for people who don't know this office.
And that's
So
6 months
I
is a
would-
short term.
Right. I
understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying,
So-
I know you want a term that you can say if they don't work out, they're out of here. I know that. Everybody wants that.
So I seconded your 6 months.
Okay, great.
So I'm on board with your 6 months.
Okay,
I
can
just
we-
figured I would explain this. Okay, so I went and got my employee handbook. And in the employee handbook on page 16 is section 1.7 probationary period. So this is a county policy.
They are not county
I
employees.
understand. I
They,
understand.
this is the same position, they're in the same position as Judge Tatum.
I hear you.
If we
You're
vote
right.
him in 8 years,
I think
we
she's
got him.
making a parallel.
You're
Okay.
right. Let me talk.
I'm done.
Just making,
I promise you.
I'm done.
she's just making a
I'm done.
parallel comparison
I'm
What'd you
done.
say?
She did not answer, but I told her to call me.
I'm done. Sorry.
Can you text?
Okay, so the point
did.
was
I
this,
did.
and this was a conversation that we had in January that Judge Hagan was involved in. I believe Judge Tatum was involved in, and so on. Was the idea that we were trying to make sure we got the right people in place. And I think the 90 days were partially picked because that mirrors this. Now, again, I'm 100% clear that we are not talking about county employees. I'm just saying that in general, people who get a paycheck from the county, which these people get a paycheck from the county, so I would think that that covers everybody, that there is a way to make sure that the right person is in the right place. And that is the intent behind the idea of doing a shorter term for the people who don't know this job, who have never done it before, to make sure that we fit. And that's why I keep asking for kind of a standard. I'm comfortable with 6 months. Are you all comfortable with 6 months for a part-time who doesn't know what they're doing to give you enough time to train?
If
And
they'll,
then-
if they'll accept that, yes.
Okay. And then at that point, tell them. We're just making sure that everybody's on the same page. And after 6 months, if they're happy and everybody's doing a great job, then they will get a longer term. It's not that we're trying to give you a job only for 6 months.
Right.
It's, again, like every other job out there, there's a set up probationary period. This is just the only way, because this is an appointment, that we are able to do this. Okay. I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you.
all in favor? Aye. Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, so she's on the agenda also.
So we'll amend to have one, already got our part-time.
Yeah, we
We'll
got-
amend to add a full-time.
And hold on, so maybe add another full-time.
Yeah.
And also that, as the promotion for Stacy.
Could
Is
we
that gonna be
not-
on there? Or are we gonna do that here, right?
We-
We don't need to do that.
Let's talk about that.
What are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Stacy.
Stacy is, I think you can appoint the interim, don't y'all think?
I think we can appoint the interim too, because normally it's the director, and the director's on leave. So I
Can we
think-
not just
Let's,
take it?
I think we
you wanna
should.
just put it on there and vote? on it?
Because so everybody that works in that office is a judicial commissioner.
Yes.
That's their role.
Yes.
Right.
I believe that the county commission can make somebody a director and
Yeah.
take somebody out of that director
Right.
Yes.
exactly.
position. We
Exactly.
might not be able to take them out of a judicial commissioner role.
Yeah.
But that's not anything in statute. We create that position.
That's right.
I would feel more comfortable
If they voted on it,
if they voted on it.
Yeah.
they be in the
Then
25.
they be in the 25
We'll
with
put it
our
on.
recommend.
Why don't we do all three of those?
We'll put it on there.
And could we not, if
Maybe
because
another one.
this body
This.
has already approved Ms. Fox once.
Yeah.
We did.
That body's approved Ms. Fox once.
Yes.
Could we not
Why don't we,
approve her
and if she.
pending her acceptance?
Yes.
Exactly. I agree.
And
with
if
that.
she
Sure, by
accepts
Monday.
it,
I'll make
she'll
a
be
note.
on the agenda to come back Monday.
Right.
If she doesn't accept it, then
We don't put her. We don't put her.
we
on
don't
there.
put her.
Okay.
You don't vote on it.
We don't vote on her.
I'll make a motion to appoint Anita Fox as a full-time judicial commissioner for a term of 2 years.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor,
Upon,
say
well,
aye.
hold on.
Okay, wait.
Upon her,
Upon her acceptance.
Upon
I
her
apologize.
I have a question because she's got an unexpired term already, unless when she resigned.
No,
Term.
she lost.
Okay, so okay.
Well, she was only on a year anyways, so
Right. Well, it was going to end in
this is a
October.
new
so
term, it's a new
This will be a
session.
brand new term, as if she's a new.
Yes, ma'am.
So our two part-time guys, when do they come back up? Are they, because weren't they a 90-day? So do they come up in
July.
July?
I wondered about that too. Okay,
And we'll have to reappoint them as well.
well, let's talk about them.
They're both doing really good.
Okay.
One better than the other, but
Martinez was offered full time.
Yeah, he refused
so
it.
can I explain that?
Did y'all vote on it?
We haven't. Let's,
We haven't
let's do
voted
Anita's. Let's do Anita's.
Blake had a question and then we,
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Distracted.
Sorry.
Well-
Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay, so Anita Fox, if she accepts, she'll be on the agenda with Phillips.
Yep.
And our part-timer and the update. Okay? So we
Okay.
have one more, you explain about the part-timers.
We have two.
Okay, so
Yeah.
right now, because we're
is
short-staffed.
it Mr. Martinez and Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Luis Martinez,
Here,
Mr. Gibson
they're here.
can't go full-time. He works full-time at Kroger.
Okay,
Although he's working a lot of hours for us, he's helping out a lot.
right.
But he can't have two full-time jobs. I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. I don't think you guys would either, but
No.
They're both
Anyway.
coming up in July?
I think so. They'll have to be reappointed for whatever you guys recommend, but they're both holding their own. I mean, they've got questions here and there, but they're doing okay. So Lisa did ask him if he wanted to go full-time. He's slow walking that. Well, one, because it was Lisa. Two, because he's talked to me. Two, because he's like, well, there's not a full staff, and what, are you just going to throw me around on any shift? Or what are my days off going to be? Is it going to be another 90-day term? Like, he's very hesitant to go full-time because he don't know, and I couldn't tell him what to expect because I said, I don't know yet.
So we have one more
Won't you-
full-time slot, right?
Yes. And I think he might accept it, with different.
For a 2-year term.
Well, if he's up in July for a contract, I say we finish out the contract that he's in. You've got time to talk to him and see what he wants to do, whether he wants to stay part-time or full-time, and then you bring that to this committee.
Yep.
And then we would, do it next month on that.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other, discussion?
What about Mr. Gibson?
He's part-time,
He's
he's gonna stay
part-time.
Part-time wants to stay.
He wants to
Right.
stay.
Okay. but
He
we'll-
actually
but-
wants to be less part-time.
I understand, but we'll handle that in July. That's my question.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're looking at some, just modifications, full-time should be at least 2 years. You agree with that, if they're doing, okay?
Well, I think we handle that
As it unfolds.
until it unfolds.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then, the director or the supervisor, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, at least 3, maybe 4. I don't know. I'm not sure we're ready to go there yet.
Me at, I would like
Think
4
about it.
years, whether it's a commissioner or a deputy director. I would like 4 years.
Yeah, well, I don't
It'll
blame
be
you.
20 in January.
Well, it makes sense. If you've been here so long, you've done the work, the
I think
players and everything.
a lot of that will also depend on if it is a new person coming in or if it is a person that is
Exactly.
showed their tenure here.
The
Okay.
experience factor.
Yeah.
Any other business? Any other new business? Any other adjournments I hear?
I'll make a motion. Oh, excuse me.
Motion to adjourn.
I'm all about it.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, guys.
I think we got.